Welcome to Transforming Education with Edvantia. I'm Dr. Tony Marchese. Today our program is entitled Research and Evaluation, a Partnership for Improvement. And I have several wonderful guests that I'd like to introduce you to, two of which will appear during this segment, and then we have another guest who will be coming on later in the program. Today our guests include Dr. Kirk Nestis, Nate Hickson, and Georgia Hughes-Webb, all of whom are members of our Research and Evaluation team at Edvantia. Today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently, and rather than having the normal set where it's more of an interview, we're going to be having a roundtable discussion. And so I trust that you'll enjoy that. I'd like to introduce our first two guests, Kirk and Nate, and Georgia Hughes-Webb will be joining us later in the conversation. Kirk, you have been in evaluation for a while. You've got expertise in rural education, evaluating the application of technology to teaching and learning settings, examining education products to ascertain effectiveness with students. And one thing I know about you, Kirk, is that you enjoy capacity building, and in other words, helping education agencies, schools, districts develop the ability to effectively collect and interpret data.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you've done a lot of things. I know you've been a business owner, you've worked in the college setting, and I know that you're a researcher, and I also know you like to race cars.
And I was a K-12 educator for a while, taught junior high school.
You hold a PhD from the University of Virginia with an emphasis in policy and evaluation, and I'm definitely glad to have you.
Thank you.
Nate, I'm glad that you're here as well, and I know that you provide evaluation and research services for several projects at Edvantia, and in particular you work with two of our two regional comprehensive centers, and your expertise is in qualitative and quantitative data collection and analysis, and I know that you're very good at writing research reports and designing instruments for several of our clients, and I know that you hold a master's degree in communication with an emphasis in theory and research. So welcome both of you, and I'd like to get started. One of the things that's important, I think, as we begin this conversation is to develop a consistent conceptual framework around this idea of research and evaluation. And a lot of educators might, they might use these terms, but they may be used in different ways. And so let's go ahead and begin and talk about what research and evaluation is.
Well, I think that research would be considered the broader umbrella term of the two, and evaluation may be a set underneath of a set of methodologies and different types of tools underneath of the research umbrella. To me, research is all about systematic inquiry. It's about searching for knowledge or insights about a given phenomenon of interest using standardized procedures. There's a variety of methods and study designs that can be used in research. For example, people are familiar with experimental designs, which we use when we want to determine if there's causality between two variables, or quasi-experimental designs, best for use when we can't randomize subjects. A lot of times in schools we end up having to use that. And then also case studies, which we use to discover or present unique cases or situations. Evaluation, as I said, I think is a subset of research, and evaluators, they use different methodologies, they have different theories of action, and Kirk can talk a bit more about that.
Sure. Yeah, and I'd concur with what Nate says about sort of research being the umbrella under which evaluation is included. Oftentimes in education, research gets used to describe specifically methodologies, the experimental and quasi-experimental sorts of methodologies, but really primarily where we spend most of our time and energy and provide services to educators, states, districts, even individual schools, is understanding their programs and projects that they're implementing with kids, curricula, professional development for teachers, and other activities that are intended to actually have some outcome for learners. And evaluation, in quotes, as we use the term typically around the offices at Edvantia, means typically looking at those projects for specific reasons. I know we can talk about sort of the purposes behind that later if we have an opportunity to get into more detail, but when we say evaluation, that's usually what we refer to.